All right, so now after that section, he slides up to the 18th fret of the B string and bends up a whole step. So, and it's a gradual bend with vibrato. Now that rings out for a little while, and under that there's a secondary guitar that comes in and it plays this. And that's where the two meet up. So this one's bending here, and this one bends up a step and a half. So that secondary guitar is really cool, and that's why I played it on this Strat, because this is the only guitar I have set up with a floating bridge, and you need a floating bridge in order to pull back and get this Jeff Becky kind of thing where he gets the notes to kind of flutter. So you have... And what you're doing basically is you're really playing the 14th fret of the G string, then you're playing the 12th, 13th, and 15th of the B string. So you just have a scale, right? But what you're doing is when you pluck each note, you're pulling the tremolo bar up and letting it go. So you're letting it flutter. So, and what you want to do is make sure it doesn't keep floating down like that. But you have... Now the trick to this, and the thing you might have a little trouble with, again, if you have a bar that kind of floats around like mine, it's going to be a little more difficult because you really got to keep it in this area. You don't want it floating down here because as you pick the note, you got to get that. So some bars screw in and they get tighter as they do. That's going to help. Some bars are a little tighter as they go in, or you can push them in so they stay a little tighter, like I just did there. So now the bar doesn't get away from me. But the problem with that is when it's pushed too far in, for me, I can't bend down enough. So I kind of need the bar a little further up, but that makes it loose. So you kind of deal with whatever you can. Now again, you're just walking up that scale, right? Right? But you're adding those little flutters on each one. And another thing you got to kind of do is try and mute the other strings while you do this, because you don't want this happening. You know, while this is going, all your strings start, you know, ringing out and stuff. So it's kind of a little tricky. And what I would do is, again, just take it really slow if you're new to this technique. In fact, you could do it that way, really slow. Pick the note and then pull the note. But you hear it doesn't have that same effect. And then that last note, it bends. So you have... And then here it bends up a whole step from the 17th fret. It bends up a whole step, then a step and a half. So it bends up another half step. So that it meets that note that's being bent up a whole step. Right? So you have... Now that section there is basically playing the 17th, as far as notes goes, it's playing 17, 16, or 17, 15, 14 on the E string to the 17th, 15th on the B string. So to the 16, 14 on the G string. So that whole scale is... Right? Now those are the notes that are being played, but it's being played this way. It bends up a whole step. So up and down a whole step on the 17th fret E string. Then it goes to the 15th fret, back to the 17th fret on the E string. So, and then it takes the 15th fret, bends it up a whole step, and once it bends up the whole step, it stops the note. So you have, so you don't hear, you hear. So the whole thing is, then it's the 14th fret, bending up and down a half step. Then it goes from the 14, 15, 14 on the E string. And then it goes to down basically a D major arpeggio. Right? So it goes from the 14th fret on the E string to the 15th fret on the B string to the 14th fret on the G string, slides up to the 16th fret of the G string. So that whole thing is. And then what it does, it takes that 17th fret of the B string, bends it up a whole step, then another half step, and then back down to the 15th fret. And so you're only picking that first note though. So you have, right? So that whole thing from the flutter is. And then it slides off. Then it gets into this really cool pentatonic run that he just does something a little slightly different than what I'm used to and what I've seen a lot of people do. So he puts it on the neck pickup to get a little thicker sound, and he goes. So it's sequencing the E minor pentatonic scale, okay? So you have 15th fret on the B string bent up a whole step. And now you're sequencing from the 12th fret of the E string right, the 12th fret from the E string to the 12th fret of the B string to the 15th fret and the 14th fret, 15th fret of the B string, 14th fret of the G string. So you have, right? So you have. And then when you get to that 14th fret, you go back to the 12th fret of the B string, then to the 14th fret of the G string, and you bend that up. So you have, you're bending it up and down a whole step. So you have, and you pull off to that 12th fret after that whole step bend, all on the G string. So you have. Then you bend that 14th fret on the G string up a whole step again, but this is kind of a gradual bend. So you have. Then you do a little triplet kind of thing on the B string from 12, 14, back to the 12. So you have. Then you're sequencing again from after the triplet. Go from the 14th fret of the G string to the 12th fret of the B string, back to the 12th fret of the G string. So the whole thing slow is. And when you get to that 12th fret of the G string, bends up and down a half step. So you have. And that's where it does something a little bit different. After it does that half step bend on the G string, 12th fret, it goes from the 14th fret to the 12th fret of the D string. And then it slides down, it rolls over on the 12th fret of the A string, and then slides down to the 10th fret. So then it does the 12th fret to the 10th fret of the A string to the 12th fret of the E string. So that whole thing is. And then it slides down. Now the thing about that phrase that's really cool to me is I would normally, if I did this phrase, I would normally play it like this. So I would not roll over that 12th fret and slide there. I would take the 14th fret of the A string, I'm sorry, and slide to the 12th fret and then pull off to the 10th fret. So that's my normal pentatonic kind of move. So skipping that one note and sliding from this 12th fret, rolling over and sliding there, just makes it sound so cool because you're kind of skipping a beat in the normal phrase. So just a really, really cool thing, I think.